Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows comes the best of indie podcasts.
You're now listening to part 2 of the mythical true crime podcast of Barbara Rogers and the alien reptilian cult murder. Where we last left off, Barbara Rogers called 911 to report her boyfriend was murdered. This happened July 15th, 2017. It all culminated involving a bizarre tale with the alien reptilian cult led by Sherry Schreiner. We're going to learn about the history of Sherry, as well as a deeper look into how she became internet famous. My name is DJ, and this is the Mythical True Crime Podcast. Hello again, and welcome to tonight's show. This is part 2 of a two-parter of Alien Reptilian Cult. So if you haven't listened to part 1, please go back and listen to it. Now to begin. Sherry Schreiner was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1965. Most of the information is spread out through various internet articles, which I'll annotate in my podcast show notes. Now, she went to school at Kent State University. It's the same place the National Guard killed 4 armed students protesting the Vietnam War in 1970. She graduated with a degree in journalism, political science, and criminal justice in 1990. Now, it was after this that Schreiner was believed to have come up with the notion of the New World Order. The conspiracy theory suggests that everyone from Queen Elizabeth II to Barack Obama were shape-shifting lizards whose alien overlords were bent on world domination and had placed them in power to establish a one-world government. This conspiracy theory is not new. And with Schreiner uncovering this, she began to absorb it more and more. And with the advent of YouTube and Facebook, she found a massive reach for her bizarre theories. In addition to the litany of self-published books and YouTube videos, the self-described servant, prophet, ambassador, daughter, and messenger of the highmost God launched more than 10 websites like thewatcherfiles.com, drawing in thousands of views and even more gullible devotees. We've been seeing it on a massive scale, Schreiner said in 2016. Celebrities, news announcers, even people in commercials. Everybody you see on TV, about 90%, is a clone or a synthetic robotoid. Now, one such follower was named Kelly Pingilly, who Schreiner convinced at 19 years old not to waste last days on Earth with college, but to go work for her as a transcriber for the Aliens in the News radio show. Pingilly was told that the only true God was Iowa. She also took routine trips to New York to protest the New World Order. On December 28, 2012, Pingilly was found dead from an overdose of over 30 sleeping pills where she was sleeping with an argon pendant. Argon was a pseudoscientific substance Schreiner claimed that could defeat the clones and other synthetics. After Pingilly's death, Schreiner sold replicas of her pendant online. Talk about taking advantage of the dead. Now, when the news was brought to her that Pingilly had died, Schreiner claimed that she had been murdered by a NATO death squad for believing in Iowa, and urged her followers to stay vigilant in the fight against the world domination. Now, at this point, Stephen Minnow, who was our victim from part 1, was still listening to her, but shortly after this, he became disillusioned with Schreiner. Now, Stephen Minnow and Barbara Rogers at this point were satisfied members of this online cult, but things started to sour when Rogers published some Facebook post about enjoying raw meat, and Sherry just didn't like that. began branding her as inhuman. And if you catch my quote from last time, she quoted in saying, "There's only certain types of people who crave the raw meat because they crave blood. Those are the vampire demons in them." Now, Minnow at this time became convinced that Schreiner was basically a fraud and uploaded 5 videos between May 29th and July 1st of 2017 trying to expose her. Schreiner and her loyalists essentially cast the couple out, continued to label Rogers as a vampire witch reptilian super soldier. Sounds like the next Marvel movie. And then on that fateful morning of July 15th, 2017, Minnow and Rogers went to a local bar and drank until about 2 a.m. before returning to his townhome. He took Rogers out back to shoot his gun into the woods, and when they came back inside, he apparently asked her to shoot him in the head. The Ponaco Mountain Regional Police were called at 2:25 a.m., where officers finding a .45 caliber Glock near Minnow's body and a hole in his forehead. Rogers was taken to Monroe County Jail, adamant that Minnow had forced her to pull the trigger. Much like the contradictory claims that I find online with these multiple articles, Rogers made the same claims in custody. She admitted that she shot Minnow at his request, but then she said she didn't know that the gun was loaded. And again, she was offered a plea deal to plead guilty to third-degree murder, but carried a sentence between 10 to 15 years and turned it down. Sherry, in the meantime, was claiming online that Rogers had morphed her huge teeth out and revealed her inhuman shape before killing Minnow. And one of the reasons why, because he knew her secret. She said that Minnow, quote, hated me because I warned him that she was going to destroy him, and she did. He couldn't just believe she would do that. Now I'm going to read an actual Facebook post Schreiner made when she claiming Minnow wasn't actually suicidal. It reads, "They're trying to spin it that like I'm responsible for Steve's death. No, Barb is. I tried to protect Steve. I tried to warn him about Barbara Rogers, and he wouldn't listen to me. He thought I was insulting his quote-unquote wife when I was just trying to protect him from her. I knew what she was. He began to realize what I said about her was true, and that's why she killed him, to protect her lies and keep her secrets. They call me a cult leader? No. I'm just a humble servant and messenger of the Most High. I've spent my life serving him, and for that, I get beat up by Cain's kids, libtards, witches, Satanists, and haters everywhere. If you open your eyes, it's clear to see she was involved with witchcraft and Satanism. Steve didn't want to believe it, and now he's dead from her hands. Steve wasn't suicidal. It was her plan all along to destroy him. So all the lies and garbage against me and others just needs to stop." End post. Sherry responded to Minnow's death just like she did Pingilly's years before. She urged her followers to donate to the cause, selling those necklaces for up to $288 apiece, and also launching a GoFundMe campaign, profiting until her death by natural causes months later after Minnow was killed. Rogers went to trial in March 2019 and was convicted to third-degree murder, as we know, on June 10, 2019. She was sentenced at a minimum 15 years in prison, and still, she says, was not in control of the situation that happened. I was not the dominating party in that situation. However, as of today, all that's left of this legion of believers wrangling the costs of having to believe Schreiner for years. Countless posts online mourned her death and wished her well, while others, such as the relatives to Stephen Minnow and Kelly Pingilly, hope self-taught sleuths become a little more discerning in the future. I'll end this bonus part 2 episode with a quote from Nate, Kelly's brother. You'd think every time one of her predictions doesn't come true, she'd lose followers, but that doesn't seem to be the case. If I had something to say of encouragement to people, it would be to tell them, look around. The world isn't ending. If you'd like to see more, Vice TV's The Devil You Know is now on Season 2. It's produced by Vice Studios and distributed worldwide by Vice Distribution. Now, I have no affiliation with them. However, this series is going to focus on the alien reptile cult leader, Sherry, who, in their words, is the epitome of evil. So if you're interested in more, check it out. And that concludes tonight's Part 2 of Barbara Rogers and the Alien Reptilian Cult. If you'd like more, please be sure to subscribe to hear more of my episodes. Again, I'll be posting more every Monday. Until then, thanks for listening. My name is DJ, and this was the Mythical True Crime Podcast.
And that concludes another captivating episode, delving into the world of mythical true crime. I appreciate you joining me tonight as we listen to the facts from these true crime tales. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll uncover even more mysteries. Until then, thank you for listening to tonight's episode. Good night.